happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
Everybody needs some money sometime. Everybody needs some cash sometime.
When you need money fast, only Western Union can get it to over 16,000 locations in minutes. Nobody else even comes close.
In my heart just told me my sometime is
Western
now.
Union, the fastest way to send money.
So, do you have a favorite Tom Cruise movie? If there is one.
Well, he's in The Outsiders, and that's a pretty dope old movie, but it's old. Personally,
Ensemble cast too.
yeah, there's plenty of hitters in that. Man, Tom Cruise. Just off the top of my head, I did really enjoy the Mission Impossible franchise until there was like 30 of them. So I did like the first one of those. I know a lot of people didn't, but I did like the first War of the Worlds movie. Like they made Steven Spielberg made one with Tom Cruise as the lead, and I thought it was pretty good. And the Collateral, the movie he did with Jamie Foxx, where he was like an assassin and he was like in a cab the whole time. That was pretty dope.
It was a change of pace for him.
Yeah.
So where does, I don't know, Top Gun, where is that place?
Zero. I never liked that movie as a kid, and if I'm going 80s, I'm going ridiculous Tom Cruise movies, and it's gay as hell. But the movie Cocktails is one of the most funniest. If you get high and watch Cocktails, you're gonna laugh your ass off. It's so stupid.
What about Rain Man?
Yeah, I like that, but that's like a serious. It's kind of a bummer movie. It's like serious, you know. There's a lot of shit where it's like Tom Cruise is just a guy who resents his like special needs brother, and it's just for a while it's just a downer. It's cool like when he makes the turnaround and sort of comes around, but I always found that movie made me sad when I watched it, so I didn't watch it a lot.
I feel like it's not rewatchable.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of like heavy movies like that it's good that you did watch it. It's like somebody made it and they did it well, but you're not going to go back and rewatch, it's just like, for whatever reason. Yeah, definitely that. Definitely that. I mean, even once, and this was a complete scumbag move because it was completely pot related, but me and the gang watched The Passion of the Christ. And man, bro, that is even at the time when like brutal horror movies like Hostel was like a normal thing, that movie just like bumped it up a couple notches. Even for me at the time, I was like, you know what, we got to stop this.
I watched that high for the first time. The first time I watched it, I was high. And I was scared, man. I thought we were going to die that night. Like, dude, this just doesn't feel right. Like, Jesus is getting his ass whooped for like hours.
I mean, that's all it is. It might as well just be that. It's just Jesus getting that ass straight.
The slaughtering of Christ.
Woo! And it's also in like Aramaic, so it's like double a fuck you because you're like just watching it, not understanding really the language. So it's just like Costa Griga Basa. Like, why are these in slow-mo, like high resolution shots of this guy just getting lashed? Good.
But back to the Oprah couch jumper. What about Magnolia?
A great movie because I love Paul Thomas Anderson, but confusing, and other than Tom Cruise and the power of the penis shit, it's another downer movie. It's a complete downer of a movie.
I feel like that wasn't rewatchable either. But I do have a couple because I try my hardest to not shit on him all the time. He is very cringe from what we know now with smartphones going on, and like you can actually see these celebrities for who they really are. But The Color of Money doesn't get talked about enough. That's when him and I believe was it Robert Redford? No, it was Newman,
Paul
Paul
Newman.
Newman.
Okay.
Yeah, Paul Newman was a hustler and a pool shark, and Tom
Oh
Cruise
fuck
at
yeah,
like
that movie is
yeah,
I honestly I have seen that like on HBO, but I haven't rewatched it, but it is not a bad movie. He's not
not
see
bad.
that's the thing. Like I feel like some people get in their way. Like if I didn't know shit about Tom Cruise, like personally, I'd be
Yeah,
crazy. You know, I don't like a lot. It's overdone now, but I wouldn't have a problem with him. I feel like his personality, like off the screen, it just like
it's
makes
what does it.
yeah, it's the
Yeah,
weirdness, you know.
just yeah.
And he does
Word to
have some
Katie Holmes.
interviews where it's just like, dude, chill like, can you be real? It always seems very rehearsed and very like intense and shit.
And it's just spaz.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
you ever just like hang out and just like you're not like, hey man, like, how are you doing, bud? It's always like shit. Like it's like this ain't a make a wish, dude. Like you can try less. It's
Seriously,
fine.
because you are Doctor doing the most. But I have two other ones from the '90s. One, A Few Good Men, and the other one, which also doesn't get talked about enough in the pantheon of Tom Cruise films, uh, Eyes Wide Shut.
That's weird. I was just thinking about Eyes Wide Shut the other day. Eyes Wide Shut, I got into it because I was a pervert kid and I knew you saw Nicole Kidman naked. I wasn't a film aficionado at the time. So I didn't like look past that and be like, oh, this is a Kubrick movie. What ended up being his last, which is notable. I
Yeah,
remember it being long and sort of boring too, which some Kubrick movies can be. But um, what was the other one that you said?
A Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men. Yeah, that's good. Jack Nicholson. There's a lot of fucking celebrities in that. But military drama and I don't it's not at the top of my list. And one other one, I need to look up the date and it might be after the 90s, but Vanilla Sky.
Yeah, that was 2000s, but still, yeah, I remember seeing part of that. I've never seen it all the way through.
I enjoyed that movie. It was trippy as fuck. Um
Yeah.
but yeah, dude, Tom Cruise, you know, weirdo, small, complex dude. You know, he does a lot of shit. But I do respect the fact that he does all his own stunts and seems to want to just die on screen. You know, he'll jump off a cliff, he'll hold onto an airplane while it's taking off, all for the love of film. And you got to respect a guy who's willing to do that.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, it's not like he was doing it, but
Motherfucker, he was doing it. Unless they're
really?
completely lying about it, he was. Like, I remember they showed one thing where he did like a jump across like a gap between two buildings, demanded to do it, and then he broke his fucking ankle because he didn't get he almost like missed it and just like completely collapsed his ankle. I'm sure it was on a Mission Impossible movie.
Well, I digress like a motherfucker.
Dude,
Tommy,
the shit with the plane where he's hanging on in that one Mission Impossible movie where I mean it's
yeah.
like he did that. He's an insane person. And like I said, I think he
Yeah.
wants to die on film because if I'm not mistaken, he was flying F-16s in the new Top Gun because he's that committed to the fucking shot. So
Wow.
that's crazy.
Well, Tommy, you just earned some Shane McMahon points.
You
Wow.
fucking get your
Well,
fucking shit in order, Steve. Do not disrespect the crews like that.
oh, he's already been indoctrinated.
You're grim.
What the heck was that?
So, hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Maggie with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your Death Row t-shirts and your Muppet Christmas carols, because it ain't nothing but a G thing, baby. Two loped out G's going crazy. Death Row is the label that pays me. Unfadable, so please don't try to fake this.
Nice, Steve. As always, just coming in with the just the acapella hits. I'm waiting for the album to come out, Steve. Like Steve G does the 90s.
It's the capital S-O-S, fresh from double P, D-O-double-G-Y-D-O-double-G, you see.
I'm already sold. We just need to get like a shot of you just like in a stool and just have like a list going, and then you like looking at the camera dramatically and be like, and much, much more. I'm in.
But I'm doing it in different like impersonations.
Steve G. I mean, it could just be you at some point, but I'm just saying, Steve G does blah Death Row. You know, we can just stretch this out. Steve G does all the ABC TV themes. If you know, that could be one.
Whatever happened to predictability? The milkman, the paperboy, evening TV. So yeah, man. Today we're talking about all things December 15th in the 90s. Starting off in 1990, EPMD releases their album, Business as Usual. That album had the releases Gold Digger, years, a decade and a half before Kanye did it, the track Rampage, and Give the People. And the thing that stands out about this album, Business as Usual, is the cover. It's considered one of the greatest hip-hop covers of all time. And the cover art was done by Bill Sienkiewicz. He's an acclaimed artist. He's done work with Marvel and DC. And he's done stuff with Roger Waters, Kid Cudi. He did the cover artwork for Resident Evil. He's done various covers for Entertainment Weekly, RZA's Bobby Digital and Stereo. He's even worked with the Venture Brothers. So
hell yeah, dude. That's one thing I don't think people talk about with hip hop art, like in general, is that for me at least, I feel like the cover art was very influential or memorable.
Definitely.
In a way that a lot of other art, like some, like you see like a Three Doors Down, like I'm just pulling like a name of a band, but like it's just like guys standing on a beach, you know. And even if you look at like No Limit albums and shit, it might not be like what you consider art for some people, but to me that shit was just like eye catching and fucking always influenced what I thought was like cool. And I remember in like college I would try to like mimic stuff when I was learning Photoshop to sort of, you know, it was always like an influence on me personally. So I don't think people talk about that a lot.
You tried to replicate No Limit album covers?
No, not No Limits, but honestly, I was in a Young Buck phase, so I was trying to do a lot of like Young Buck-esque covers. He had like a lot of mixtapes that had like animated versions of him and shit. Remember like DJ Who Kid mixtapes? There was a lot of like cartoony album art at that time that I liked.
Now, that same day, 1990, Rod Stewart marries supermodel Rachel Hunter.
Rod Stewart.
Makes you sing like Rod Stewart. They were married from 1990 to 2006. I believe they had 2 children together. And she looks familiar. I had to look her up, man. I remember seeing her on the Drew Carey show.
Yeah, Rachel Hunter, that name rings a lot of bells, but now that I'm seeing her behind you, it's not like Claudia Schiffer, like a Cindy Crawford memorable, but yeah, I mean, she was like one of the top supermodels back then. And Rod Stewart was a coxman, apparently. Strange.
Yeah, she's a quarter of your age, Doc. But in December 15, 1992, Dr. Dre releases the infamous The Chronic. I mean, this is the birth of the G-Funk era of gangster rap. This is, I mean, yeah, it basically added a subgenre of gangster rap. And I mean, it laid down the foundation for a lot of Cali sound in the 90s, man. Um,
There's not a
it
lot of
went
albums like this back then that, dude, I'll listen to this regularly. I don't listen to a lot of music in general. Like I've said many times, like I really only listen to it when I'm working out, but I listen to this. I mean, I would say definitely many times a year for sure. It's just a fucking banger, dude. Especially the samples and like that style. That's like my favorite style of rap. That's why I love Ice Cube so much.
like old like soul groups and like Motown artists and like when this dropped, man, nothing but a G thing music video. It was heavily uh requested on the box TV channel. And you remember that?
I mean, I've heard a lot of people talk about that, and what I don't, I came to Ohio when I was 10, and I think they had that then. But when I lived in Pennsylvania, we didn't have, I mean, we had a fucking
The
cable box
knob.
that was like a knob.
Oh man, yeah.
It was wild. We were living backwoods. So, no, I didn't really have the box too much, but I do remember it. And I know it was like a huge thing in the 90s for, like, I think a lot of like on the East Coast, maybe. I don't know if it's a
Definitely.
national thing.
And I mean, it would be like a 3-digit selection, and it like would correspond with the music video. But not just Dr. Dre. This album introduced the world to a guy named Calvin Broadus, better known as Snoop Doggy Dogg, and as well as Corrupt and Daz of the Dog Pound, and the family, the extended family of Death Row. And The Chronic reached #3 on the Billboard 200 and has been certified triple platinum with sales of 3 million, making Dr. Dre one of the top 10 best-selling American performing artists of '93. The Chronic spent 8 months in the Billboard top 10. The album's 3 singles became top 10 Billboard singles, Nothing But a G Thing, as well as Dre Day and Let Me Ride. Um, it's just so many hits. Like it's a perfect rap album in my one of the few that's just like don't touch it. Like nothing could be retweaked, redone. It came polished as is.
Yeah, I mean, he knocked it so far out of the park that he just solidified it. He didn't really have to do too much. I mean, he made Chronic 2001 and stuff, but
Yeah.
people were just, he did it perfectly if you think about it, because he made a perfect album and lived off that. And like,
Yeah.
people were like, when? Please, when? And I mean, he eventually did it, but yeah, I'm with you. I came in late to the game on him and rap in general, but this is something that is so prolific that I don't know who, like, it might be the perfect rap album. You might be right, Steve.
And it's been widely regarded as one of the most important and influential albums of the 90s and one of the best produced hip hop albums. It was even selected by the Library of Congress for preservation in the National Recording Registry. So that's a big deal, man.
I also just love when we were talking about the samples, how whenever you would listen to the Chronic, then you would like be like, man, I wonder what song that was, or I've heard that, and then you'll hear like a soul song like on the radio, and you're like, holy fucking, this is it.
Yeah.
It's so fucking, it's awesome, dude. It is literally my favorite time of rap, really. I listen to a lot of shit post then, but something that, I mean, when did this come out? What did you say, 90 what? Two?
92. Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ, 20, 30 years later? It's
And
crazy.
I didn't know if you knew this, man, but it's not available on Spotify.
Yeah, I just use YouTube. I fucking hate
Yeah.
Spotify. That's crazy, though.
Yeah, when Snoop Dogg bought out Death Row, he decided to make The Chronic and Doggy Style into NFTs, whatever that means. I'm not well versed in that universe, multiverse, whatever the fuck, but he wants to make them available as NFTs. So he had them stripped from all the streaming platforms, and like it's still available on YouTube, the full album. So yeah, Bankhead Bounce,
I don't know what that
motherfucking
means, though.
Chronic.
Does that mean like only one person can actually buy the actual rights and album, or that's weird?
I have no idea how that shit works, but Doggy Style, that's another one, beginning to end, man. But in 1993, Schindler's List premiered in theaters. In German occupied Poland during World War II, industrialist Oskar Schindler gradually becomes concerned for his Jewish workforce after witnessing their persecution by the Nazis. Directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Liam Neeson, Ben Kingsley, Ralph Fiennes, and Caroline Goodall.
This actually goes right along with what you were saying earlier. We were talking about a movie that's great but unwatchable for a second time, and this is perfect for that because it is technically like so well done. It is a Spielberg movie, but I've seen it multiple times because of school. It's used in multiple classes, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not going back to the well on this, but Liam Neeson kills this.
And
He needs to do
when
Schindler's List too, and he just goes and takes it to the fucking Nazis, Steve. Bring them back.
like I remember this winning a shit ton of awards. It won 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Spielberg's first for Best Director. And I guess one of the survivors, Mila Pfefferberg, she was introduced to Ralph Fiennes, and on the set she began shaking uncontrollably as he reminded her too much of the real person he was portraying, named Amon Geth.
Oh man, that's got to
My
be wild
man,
as an actor to be like, man, I don't even know if I should be doing this. I feel terrible.
I feel like a severe piece of shit.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, but it's that well done, dude. That's one thing, man. Spielberg, was making all those fantastical movies in his early career and like Indiana Jones and then he started making these like more emotional and like real like this and I mean like even Saving Private Ryan. It's entertaining to watch, but it's dark and real and like tough to watch at times and he's great at that. He's great at doing like historically accurate shit when he has
Yeah,
to. I mean, he's great
get
at
your
everything,
facts.
but
Yeah. And one more fun fact: at Spielberg's insistence, all royalties and residuals from the movie that would normally go to him were instead given to the Shao Foundation, which records and preserves written and videotaped testimonies from survivors of the genocide worldwide, including the Holocaust, which really fucking happened. Alex Jones,
yeah, Kanye.
Kanye.
That other guy, the weird 20-year-old virgin that he's hanging out with now.
Well, hey! Watch him say some more racist shit. Why? He's cool, right, Donald? But on December 15th, 1994, Martin is airing the episode Go Tell It on the Martin. Martin's big Christmas TV show is almost ruined by a suicidal madman. BEBE and CeCe Winans sing Christmas carols.
Did you know who BB and CC Winan were, Steve?
Definitely.
Okay, see, I didn't know who they were. I was like, I've obviously seen this episode many times, but I was like, who the fuck are these people? I was
Yeah,
like,
the Winans.
Reefus and Cece. And what's
That
Cephas
might
and
be who
Reese?
that might be who it's based off of. But yeah, they're a gospel legendary family because they're brother and sister, and there's a Winans family and the Winans brothers. But BB and CC, they had their own act, and they're from Detroit, born and raised.
Damn, okay. Legends, gospel legends. There's another legend in this too, Steve. Hawthorne James, who was the bus driver in Speed.
Well, most black people recognize him from the Five Heartbeats, where he plays the I guess Suge Knight before Suge Knight, yeah, label owner named Big Red, and yeah, he was a ruthless motherfucker. But yeah,
This is a good episode though. This is a Christmas episode. It's in the third season of Martin, which I think is arguably one of the best, if not the best.
possibly.
And
And
we're at the point where he has a TV show now, Steve. He's got a TV show. He's solidified, and he's even got a TV special coming up for Christmas. So he's doing pretty good.
because Martin cares about the kids. And we start the episode off with Dragonfly Jones walking into Nipsey's bar. And he's like, I just got finished schooling some of these young punks in my jujitsu.
Yeah, and then Kenji walks in because he never pays his assistant Kenji, Steve. It seems
Never.
like Kenji's trying to get that bread at any moment. And he shows up, asks for that money, and as always, Dragonfly is not pleased. In fact, he tells him to shut up.
Silence, silence.
And he basically he's like, "Where's my money?" And then it's on, and it's popping. And after about, I'd say, like a 5-minute dance routine that Dragonfly has to perform in order to like get centered, it's on.
Those are always
popping.
those always crack me up, dude. He's doing just the most, man. I got your money, but I ain't giving it to you, punk.
Matter of fact, round of drinks for everybody but you. Just an asshole. And as always, he's trained Kenji well. Clearly he's great at his job, but Kenji is not good at paying people. And Kenji rocks him once. And this is, I like the beginning, but I like once he gets hurt, because that's when the craziness really starts. Because now, I think at one point he like checks the wing buffet, he sits down in a booth and just like has a moment. I think he does a little ditty on a piano, he does. It's hilarious, dude.
Cracks himself with a bottle.
This is why, like, honestly, this version of Martin, not what exists now, this is like maybe some of the greatest physical comedy you're ever gonna get.
Yeah,
I miss this.
And a happy new year to you too, punk. And we cut into the theme song, come back, and Martin, as you said, he's having his own Christmas special. And Martin shows Tommy what he got for Gina for Christmas. He got her a nice diamond bracelet from Tasha's jewelry store. And Gina and Pam come from the back, and he quickly hides it. And Pam, she's all attitudinal per usual. She's like, "What'd y'all get us? The fuck y'all get us for Christmas?" It's like, damn, like shit.
Merry Christmas, bitch.
And Gina's like, I got my gift. He's all the man I need. But I don't really need that diamond bracelet at Tasha's jewelry store on the third window from the left. And he's like, "Oh, well, good, because I ain't get the shit for you."
Yeah, I mean, I'm all the gift you need. You just said it, so we're good. Merry Christmas. Here's some dick. But Pam and Gina both, they're locked into just gorgeousness. It's a toss up, man. Sometimes I watch it, I'm like, man, is Gina hotter than Pam?
Gina had her moments, I will say, yeah, but over time, come on, we know who the people's champ was.
Dude, I remember, Sean, my buddy, was well aware of the fact that I mean, to this day, one of my hugest crushes, and he was in like the Screen Actors Guild, and they have like events and shit that you can go to. It's basically why you pay to go if you're just like not doing a lot. But he sent me this photo, and he's like, "Hey, I told her about you," and I was like, "What?" And he was just like, it was him with Pam. I was like, "You son of a bitch."
One day, man.
You got to touch her.
One day.
You got to smell her. What'd you smell like?
Got a coochie hair? And Cole, he busts into the apartment wearing a onesie, and he's saying he got jacked. They took him for his clothes. He even has a boot print across his chest. And he's scared. They're about to head out.
Take it all.
They just left him in his raggedy ass pajamas and in his long johns.
That's what happened.
And he's scared to go to the taping of the Christmas special. So he's like, "Man, I'm just gonna fall back and I'll watch y'all on TV." And so we go on set, and Martin says, "Man, he's gonna have dancers, poetry, even BEBE and CECE Winans gonna be there." And this is word on the street Christmas. And he's got his baby Gina Waters as a special guest. He even gave a shout out to his brother with the Christmas ornament head. His name is Tommy. And sitting next to him, I'm sure you all know, Blitzen.
I like how she gets up and still goes. You don't have to stand up, man, but thank
Pam
you.
gives no fucks.
God, lovely. And then it's a Kwanzaa moment with the Bookers, Steve. Goes a little past. I think the Bookers are a common guest, and it usually goes sideways with these people, Steve. They don't have a good relationship.
It's something about word on the street that makes them flesh out their issues on live television. And once again, they do this while trying to celebrate Kwanzaa. And after the Bookers, the next guest is the rhythmic stylings of the Dancing Johnsons. And I noticed that the little person woman had some nice tits.
Well, see, she's she's just yoked up. I got to give her that. But this was pointed out to me by Kendra. She actually features in Little Women of L.A., Steve. She's actually still rocking it as a little person, famous person.
There you go.
So there you go. And also our guy that's in everything. I don't know this guy's name, but Mr. Parker from Friday comes in, and he's got all. I mean, for the body this guy has, he has probably 1/8 of the limbs that I have, and 3,000% the rhythm I have, because he's killing it, Steve.
I mean, he's got the filmography to make up for that short stature.
Well, but I do want to point out just something I thought was funny, that all these other guests have seats, and they give these little people a couple of seat cushions to sit on the ground. Like, here you go, guys.
Tony Cox is his name, and the little woman is Tanya Renee Banks.
Oh, Tony Cox, yeah, you have been in so much shit over the year. There was one guy that was trying to take you over for a while, a white guy with a beard and like longer hair that was in a lot of like Tales from the Crypt and stuff. But Tony Cox, I mean, I'm sure that name is pretty prophetic too. He's probably packing a wallop. I'm guessing, Steve.
Yeah, man, he's got to use it as a belt. Yeah, we could continue the show though. Yeah, I mean, is much as I love the topic of little men dicks.
Why don't you want to talk about it? His name's Cox. Yeah. He's packing a cock. Move on, I guess. We're not gonna.
You got a point. Let's just start a whole podcast about famous little people's dicks. You know the guy from Willow?
Because I mean, I
bet Willow's fucking. He's got an adolescent arm. Fucking. I bet he didn't even have to use swords in that shit. He was fucking using his fucking donger. Why don't Willow have a sequel called Donger?
You're grim.
Donger.
Oh my god. I mean, you might have just stumbled on another idea for the show. We could just like some bonus episodes.
I bet I know now why the leprechaun went to the hood. Fucking sisters couldn't get enough of that. Sisters couldn't get enough of that little salami, that little fucking delicatessen he's fucking holding in them boxers.
Not nice to make fun of a leprechaun.
He's one wish away, Steve. He's gonna split you in half.
Oh my god, that's not your leg.
One of the crowd members is kind of disrespectful because the little people, they just did a little jig for you, and he's like, man, forget them. But bring on BEBE and CECE Winans. It's like, damn, like, how do you?
Also, for a gospel group, they got fans like this are like, man, shut the fuck up and give me fucking like, damn, y'all. By the way, God bless.
It's like fucking Kirk Franklin meets Attitude Raw audience. Fucking.
Yeah, the guy's fired.
Was that a Dennis Miller joke?
Hey, babe.
It's like Kirk Franklin meets WWE.
But while BEBE and CeCe are singing, and they're killing it, this guy, Santa, just comes up. And he's looking a little disheveled, and but he's acting salty, you know? Yeah. Like, hey, he's being real loud, too. So Martin's like, hey, Santa, what the fuck, man?
Calm that shit down, man. I'm paying them by the hour.
Yeah. And turns out Santa's not in a real jolly mood, Steve.
He hates this time of year. That's what's up, bro, man. Now, Martin, he's like, man, hold up, man. You ain't about to step on the set of my show. Hold the fuck up. You better reach down in your bag of jolliness and bring out some ho-ho-hos. And so he does just that. He said, y'all better do as I say, or I'm going to turn this Christmas into the 4th of July.
Yeah, and he's packed. I mean, he's got it. Those aren't hot dogs, Tommy Boy style, or whatever, road flares. This is some what looks like real deal dynamite. So now I mean, hostage situation, Steve.
And Martin says he can have everyone, let everyone go, just keep Pam.
Keeper. Keeper. I'd be like, you know what? Deal. We're good. We're good here. We're good.
He
The
places a
end.
bomb in the middle of her hair, and she's like, Tommy, better check this dude. So Tommy's like, no, don't worry, Big Daddy got this. Big Daddy got this. So, and then when he opens up the fucking bomb or opens up his jacket to show the bomb, he just switches up and just because, like, no, I'm her hairstylist.
Honey, what's up, honey? I think actually it isn't even that. The guy's like, what'd you just say? And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, I do declare.
Now we find out that Santa's wife left him and he lost his job. That's double whammy.
Yeah. And I mean, I gotta say, Martin sort of handles this like he offered up Pam, but then he's sort of like he's handling this better than I would. I'd be huddled in in the corner shitting myself. But then the phone rings, and you're like, "Oh, thank God," because this is all being televised, Steve.
Yeah.
I mean, the camera's rolling, so Detroit, I guess the metro area, they're wild. Maybe we in Toledo could have seen this. But the phone rings. Maybe it's the cops. It's Cole, Steve. And
It's cool.
I mean, damn, you're calling mid-show, which is weird. And Martin's like, "Yo, man, like we need help." And Cole's like, "Man, this is the most wild ass episode of TV I've ever seen."
It's pretty funny. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, you're
And
killing
I noticed there's this last swallow of orange juice left in the fridge, man. You mind, bro?
Come on. I just got ripped and stripped earlier. I need something to just replenish. Also, I jacked off in your bed. Anywho, so Martin gets him off the phone and he's like, "Look, you got to go find this dude's wife immediately because we're about to be turned
Yeah.
into bologna meat over here if this guy doesn't get what he wants."
Shit. CeCe just pissed her pants. Shit. And we still on live TV. Shit.
Yeah,
She's got a public image to maintain.
BB's doo-wopping in the corner crying and shit. I don't know what to do. We're fucking, I'm about to just take Pam in the back. Anywho,
Yeah, find his
so
baby clown.
shit's not really growing great. And then we cut, and this shit's been going on so long that now it's stale, Steve. Everyone at the TV station's like, "Hey man, if you're gonna kill us, can you just like wrap this shit up? Because I gotta get home."
Yeah. Even Tommy's like, man, I'm late for work. And then the fucking Santa Claus like, man, shut up, man.
You probably don't even
got
have a job, motherfucker. Fucking awesome writing, dude. So yeah, so now everyone's sick of it. And Santa, nothing's been going right for him. His wife left him, like you said. It's not going well. So I mean, I don't know how you initiate this thing, but we're moments away.
So Martin enlists Maria to tell him some network executive TV bullshit, which is their fucking prime language in television. And Maria says something along the lines of, you know what, we'll pay you for an interview. And after that, possible movie rights.
Yeah. I love that. I love like they offer that because I mean, even cops will do that. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude.
We have Hollywood on the phone. Just you got to give up. But as soon as you give up, Spielberg's on the line.
Right.
And while that's happening, I think he probably smells that too, Steve. But then you never thought this was going to happen. Cole strolls in, pretty blasé about it, but he actually found Santa's wife. And we've been calling this guy Brother Claus the whole episode, but we find out his name's Rufus. The down on the luck Santa's name's Rufus. And his wife, I mean, it ain't Florida Evans, but I mean, you could do. There's a likely comparison there, and she's just sort of confused and like, "Oh, damn it, what you doing?" She's just sort of like chastising him a little bit.
Well, Sister Claus is played by the late great Shirley Hemphill, and she was mostly known back in the day in the 70s on the show What's Happening, and she played the waitress at the teen hangout that the guys would go to. And I mean, I think that's what she's mostly known for. She was a stand-up comedian. That's how she initially started, and she became
Damn.
like a comedic actress. But
That's cool.
you know, the Love Doctor strikes again because while they're still live on the set of Word Up on the Street Christmas edition, they find some connection, and they get to the point where Sister Claus says, "Peaches, I love you too," and they have a warm embrace. And we find out that those bombs were just Rufus Jr.'s toys. They ain't even real.
Yeah, but I find it crazy. So yeah, that pisses Mark. He's like, man, what the fuck? But then the guy just he's like, yeah, but he says this ain't real, and then he like throws a grenade in Martin's hand. So Martin's like, man, what the fuck? This shit probably ain't real either. And he pulls a pin on a grenade, Steve.
Yeah.
And cold bloodedly, if I pulled a pin on a live grenade and somebody's like, whoa, I don't know what I'd do. I'd maybe try to toss it out a window. But he somehow like actually gets the pin back in, which I'm not really sure what the mechanics of that are, but God bless.
Martin Guyver fucking just in 2 seconds, he just became a bomb expert, and he saves them, saves the whole set. And they go out with BEBE and CECE singing "Go Tell It on the Mountain," and we go to the final scene, and Gina, she unwraps her present and she gets the bracelet that she wanted from Tasha's jewelry store, third window from the left, and they get to hunching under the Christmas tree.
Would Martin not be like nationally famous after this aired on live television, Steve? Like, I feel like the arc of him should be now nationally syndicated Donahue guy or some shit.
Well, that's how the show ends. He got bought out. They picked up his show and he moved out to L.A.
But I'm talking instantly. Like they'd be
Instantly,
like,
yeah, you're
"Holy
right.
fuck!"
It was a slow build.
Yeah, you're right. It's only Detroit. It just takes a little bit of time for word to travel, I guess. But you're right. I mean, this guy might have a future as the next like Dr. Ruth. The Love Doctor's real, Steve.
Yeah, very. And now this episode was a reunion for Martin Lawrence and Shirley Hemphill because they both appeared on What's Happening Now, which aired in 1985. It was short-lived, but it was a return of some of the original cast of What's Happening. They did an 80s show called What's Happening Now, and this was Martin Lawrence's first acting gig, I believe, that started 7 years prior to this episode.
Well, one other thing we said about Hawthorne James just being prolific and being in Speed, this episode in Speed came out literally like in the same year, so I don't know what came first, but he was on a lot of screens in '94. So shout out to Hawthorne James, and he's still very prolific. He's acting his ass off, so killing it.
Now, that following year, 1995, Heat premiered in theaters. A group of high-end professional thieves start to feel the heat from the LAPD when they unknowingly leave a clue at their latest heist. Directed by Michael Mann, starring Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Tom Sizemore, Diane Venora, Amy Brenneman, Ashley Judd, McKelty Williamson, fucking Bubba Gump, John Voight, and Val Kilmer.
It's just, I mean, I think this is probably widely regarded as one of, if not the best heist movie of all time. And I think it sort of also was like being pushed because it was De Niro and Pacino on screen, like as acting on screen together for the first time.
That's how it was promoted.
Yeah.
Because this is their first time. Like people bring up Godfather, but they weren't in the same scenes, and I actually bought this. I have this on DVD, and it's one of the few that I kept because of this. This was a big deal, man. They were both legends at this point in their own right. And, the fact that they were going to be in scenes together, it was just like, oh my God.
Yeah. And also, it's just a technically great movie. In film school, they use this movie a lot for the sound design. Like even something that you wouldn't even think is like the main thing to talk about. Like when they're in the shootout in the city, just how they have like directions of gunfire and they use the audio to like just sort of differently with the gunfire and shit. That was something that was brought up in film school, and it's just Michael Mann's a bad motherfucker. This guy makes great movies, and I think this is probably another thing people could debate about one of his best movies, you know.
And speaking of that gunfire, Michael Mann had microphones carefully placed around the set so that the audio could be captured live, and the added impact of the scene, it sounded like no other gunfight
Yeah. And
on screen
I'm telling
history.
you, I remember the audio guy that was teaching this was like gushing, and I was like, man, what the fuck? And then after watching and him explaining, I was like, you're right. That shit's crazy. And also, just that we don't have to say it too much, but like Val Kilmer in this movie, I feel like steals the show. In my opinion, he's just like you remember him. He's got this crazy long blonde hair. He's like a cold blooded ass dude. Everyone in this just knocks it out of the park. I think Hank Azaria is in this movie.
He is. He is.
Great ass.
And that was improvised. It's great that you mentioned that. Like when he did that, like so when Al Pacino says that, you could see Hank Azaria like visibly like shocked because like he wasn't expected. It wasn't in the script.
Well, you can see a slight pause right before Pacino says it, where it's like he's like, and
She got a great ass!
great ass! He makes this weird pause, but yeah, memorable line. And it is one of those 90s movies where it was like every celebrity on deck that you could possibly get. And it just so happened to have Al Pacino and De Niro in it. And it's good, man. It is really fucking good.
And this scene behind me, like this is kind of monumental because it wasn't rehearsed. At De Niro's request, he preferred that the unfamiliarity between the two characters, it would seem genuine. And so what we see behind us, man, I don't know if you ever hear people talk about Heat, they might bring this scene up, man, where they're sitting there and yeah, off the top of the dome.
That's crazy. That's wild. But it's funny, like if you put another actor in that situation, they'd be like, "Holy fuck!" But Al Pacino, he's probably like, "Okay, fine." It's like two legends, you know? It's crazy.
Yeah, I ain't afraid of you. You're a dog. I'm a fucking dog too.
Great ass!
Now, that same day in '95, Jumanji premiered in theaters. When two kids find and play a magical board game, they release a man trapped in it for decades, and a host of dangers that can only be stopped by finishing the game. Directed by Joe Johnston, starring Robin Williams, Kirsten Dunst, David Alan Grier, Bonnie Hunt, Jonathan Hyde, and BB Newworth. You fucking did Frasier wrong, bitch.
You son of a bitch. No, but this movie, it's crazy they came out on the same day because this is one of my favorite movies as a kid.
It was fun.
And it's got Dag in it, dude. Anything with David Alan Grier, you gotta love. He's great in it. But man, this was just one of those movies as a kid that they just nailed for our age range, you know?
And Joe Johnston, the director, he had reservations about casting Robin Williams because of his reputation for improvising. And, you know, Robin Williams actually understood that it was a tightly structured story and generally filmed the scenes as outlined in the script. But where he was allowed to improvise were the scenes with Bonnie Hunt.
I didn't know that. I mean, he's very like Robin Williams in this movie, so it's kind of surprising to hear that, but I don't know, man. He's just a cool. It's sad he's gone, but he just had so many. He was such a huge part of our childhood. I've heard people say shitty things, like he was like a joke thief as like a stand-up comedian and stuff like that, and I get that.
It's unfortunate hearing that, yeah.
But I mean, the dude's was so funny, and in this, like as when you were a kid, just this guy's like bouncing around the screen and stuff, and especially in this movie where it's so fantastical. And I feel like another thing this movie probably doesn't get enough credit for is that at the time, like the CGI in it was great. They put all those
ahead of its time
and shit. It was crazy.
Yeah, because this is '95, Matt, and I mean, you would have thought this shit was in the 2000s.
Yeah. So shout out to, I mean, David. There's moments in this because David Alan Grier is just like a cop experiencing all this crazy shit, and he gets to be funny in this, and that's another cool thing. It was just like you get all these funny. They really did a good job of casting it. I'm not a huge Bonnie Hunt fan, but she was like in a lot of funny shit too. You know.
You could have put Sandra Bullock in there. You got Robin Williams and Dag in the '90s.
Plus, they
Place
had a lot
actress
of other
name
like
here.
cool characters. They had that guy that was like hunting Robin Williams with like the blunderbuss gun shit, like the musket thing. He was like a hunter that was in Jumanji. I don't know if you remember that. He had like a wild
Mhm.
mustache and shit.
I do.
Yeah. And that's another, it's like kind of indicative of the time, but they weren't afraid to like have a guy shooting at kids. You know, just like straight up shooting a gun at kids and stuff. It was wild, man. I think it was another
Mm,
like fun movie that even like my parents, it was one of those movies like it's good for kids, but like even an adult's like, okay, I can get into this.
It's okay to shoot at kids when you have upbeat music as
Yeah.
the score behind in the background, you know.
Yeah. Shit.
Now, in 1996, In Your House 12 is airing on pay-per-view. It's In Your House 12, It's Time, through WWF at the West Palm Beach Auditorium in West Palm Beach, Florida. The main event of the show was the first championship defense of newly crowned WWF champ Psycho Sid, defending against former multi-time champ Bret Hart.
Psychos. I forgot. I mean, being part of this show really illustrates to me. I didn't really place him as one of the most like linchpin people of '90s wrestling, but Sid Vicious, Psycho Sid, whatever. This guy was in a lot of main events and in a lot of like memorable historic wrestling events.
Definitely. I mean, he was a part of the whole Hogan getting eliminated from Royal Rumble, which led to their WrestleMania 8 main event. He had some funny moments in WCW that kind of highlighted his lack of expertise on the mic. Um,
He's good at yelling and like really flexing those neck muscles, Stevie, and rightfully so. He's been working diligently for years and ingesting horse loads of roids to attain that body type. So just gotta just give the man some applause for that, if nothing else.
hey, the Jerry curl gonna drip regardless, cuz. Now, something just hilarious and just what the fuck. Somewhere in this event, Mankind is straight jacketed because he interfered in the Undertaker's match against the Executioner in a Texas death match. So yeah, Mankind came out and he attacked Undertaker, and he used the house decorations around the set to trash him, and he returned to the ring. Afterwards, Mankind was put in a straitjacket and dragged from the ring by security. At the end, the Undertaker won when he pinned the Executioner, and then the Executioner was unable to get back to his feet after the post 3 count pin and then the 10 count, which was the rules in Texas Death Match.
Texas, it sounds like a Terry Funk match.
Oh, I'll pin you for the 1, 2, 3, and then you
Loser
get
has
up.
to drink AIDS blood match. That's crazy. I love that they just are like like if this was real. Oh, these security guards straitjacketed a fucking guy. This man's lost his marbles.
And why is he oinking? Now, December 15th, 1997, World Wrestling Federation chairman Vince McMahon announces the introduction of the Attitude Era on Raw is War during a segment entitled The Cure for the Common Show. The WWF Attitude Scratch logo also makes its on-screen debut within the episode, replacing the New Generation's block logo.
And the world shifted.
It did.
And Stone Cold Steve Austin drank many a beer. I mean, that's gotta be, to me, that's the one, Steve. I mean, I do remember like the 80s, 90s, like blue steel WWF logo, but this one meant some business. This is it.
So many memories come to mind when I see this. Like,
I just love that it is like an era. Like it's literally like, and this day it started. And then it was, all the shit that we're talking about, like DX and all that. It is one of my favorite times in wrestling. It's just such a great time because we had all that stuff in WWF and NWO and that shit. There was so much of it, good versions of it,
And so much to pick from, man. But somebody who probably didn't watch this episode of Raw as War and watch Vince McMahon make history is probably Joe Montana, because the San Francisco 49ers were retiring his number 16, as they should. As they should.
Is there like a set time that it takes for that? Because I feel like that should have happened immediately.
Yeah,
You
while
know?
he's still playing.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
you traded him to the Chiefs as the day he left. You should have been like, and we're done here. This has been retired.
nobody's ever touching this number. Don't even think about it. The man won us 4 Super Bowls.
Man, I was like thinking about Joe Montana the other day because my dad and I were just talking about football and shit, and like how when I was little, like the Steelers weren't as big of a thing. I was just like a fan of whoever I saw on TV a lot. So for a while, I
Right.
actually was a Cowboys fan, Steve. We would have been really good friends at that point. But Joe Montana, I was such a, I think every kid was because it's like a Michael Jordan thing. But for like a certain age, I was just like a huge into Montana. I wanted a jersey. I mean, I had Joe Montana Sports Talk Football, shout out, pre-Madden football game that was dope. So this guy he more than this needs to be retired.
It's Joe Cool.
Retire his fucking jockstrap, for God's sake.
You sons of bitches. Now, in 1998, first time we're talking about this show, and I appreciated it. It's Spin City. They're in the episode Monkey Business. At Christmas time, Randall plays Santa Claus. Stewart and Carter meet an older gay couple who have moved into their building, and Mike tangles with an intelligent chimp named Bobo, who was given to the Central Park Zoo as a gift.
I mean, did you watch this at all when it was out? Like
I did.
you did. Okay.
Yeah. It was the Wednesday block. It was I think Drew Carey show. They replaced with Drew Carey show, I believe, or was this the Tuesday block?
See, I watched this, but I always thought I watched this in syndication. Maybe I did watch it for a little bit because I mean it had Michael J in it, so this was just being fucking just pushed to ad nauseum when it was out.
And it had some honeys in it. Jennifer Esposito, Victoria Diller, Connie Britton.
I was gonna get to that. I forgot I forgot about Jennifer Esposito just like in general. I forgot because that when she showed up in movies, Steve, it was always just sexy.
Shut shit down.
Yeah,
Now,
there's also just a lot. Was there any like applause to the fact that the guy from like Ferris Bueller's in this? There's a lot of like 80s, 90s celebs in this that they really compiled like a great cast that I don't think lives up to the cast, honestly.
yeah, Michael Boatman, he had been in things at this point, and Richard Kind, he was a familiar face. I can't pick apart the things that I've seen him in, but he's just like he was one of those guys. It's like, oh yeah, he's in here too.
I mean, Alan Ruck is the guy he's
Alan Ruck
Ferris
from
Bueller's
Cleveland.
best friend. Yeah. So, and there's a lot of other people in this. Jennifer Esposito, Barry Bostwick's in this, the mayor guy. He was always in a lot of shit. And so again, I wasn't as huge a fan of this, but I did remember it. And I think this even went on after Michael J left. I think Charlie Sheen took over, if I'm not mistaken, which is very weird.
Wow, winning.
I kind of lost interest at that point.
That's probably when it jumped the shark and people were like, okay. I think I saw a Coke donut on Charlie's nose in this episode, so I think I'm going to clock out.
They can say that, but what kind of car are they driving? What kind of girls are in their home? I said girls.
Yeah, he keeps asking Jennifer if she wants the toot.
Yeah.
And
Oops, winning.
now Mike announces the office Christmas party and how the booze will be free and flowing and how Stewart won't be invited. Now, Stewart says that he's the life of those parties. Mike says Stewart tried to create a life at the last party with the cleaning lady on Lisa's desk. And apparently Mike's couch, too.
Yeah, and it was it's confusing to watch this when you're going in cold because after that, we see Stewart and Carter in an apartment together. And I was like, are these guys like gay together? Are they a couple? Because they very much have that vibe, which also creates comedy in this episode. But I think Stewart's just staying with him.
Stewart's role is basically Dan Felding. He's the Dan Felding guy. He's the schmarmy, like, puss hound that always says just chauvinistic things. And like, I think the pairing of them as roommates for this time is to show their counterbalance. Because Carter is a gay man. He's living with this like chauvinistic, alpha male, like, puss hound guy.
I love that guy's the alpha male puss hound guy.
Probably alpha male is probably not the best, but Dan Felding.
Yes, I get it. And so they're together, and they do very much have like this weird relationship of a roommate, but it's, you could get confused. And City Hall, which is basically where this show is set, they're doing like this whole Santa elf thing. So we cut back there. The mayor's playing Santa. Michael J has also, he's like I guess the deputy mayor, or he's like the assistant or something. I don't know what his role is, but he's sort of like he's the go-to guy,
Yeah.
And one other thing that's happening is City Hall has been gifted and I don't know what the logistics of this are, Steve, maybe you do, but they've been gifted a very intelligent chimpanzee named Bobo.
Central Park. Yeah. They were gifted from Ghana. And it doesn't eat its own shit as much as the other monkeys. So that's a fun fact about
it's very
Bobo.
intelligent, Steve. So that's what I'm assuming. But to me, I'm saying, okay, but let's not bring it to the office. Let's maybe keep it over in the park, cage it up, keep it the fuck away from us. But we'll get to that. But that's also
Yeah.
Yeah, anything. Have you seen Nope or any movie? Do you have any intelligence? I'm not trying to get my face ripped off here, okay? But they're doing a whole Santa thing for the kids. Paul, who is, what's his name? Richard Kind. He's very prevalent actor. You know him. He always plays like a nebbishy, Jewishy, assholey, or just like annoying guy. So he's in like a lot of shit now. He's actually a voice actor in a lot of shit, like Big Mouth on Netflix. But he's playing like a salty elf, and I just love it. I love seeing like Santa elf shit, and they're like salty, and it's like Christmas Story because there's like kids. Santa's doing something, and Paul's like, you know what? I'm taking a fucking break. Got to have a smoke. I like a nice salty elf, Steve.
Yeah, and also, I want to note that Mike, in the beginning of this episode, he's playing chess with James. And James, he's like a page of some sort. And he's just owning James at this chessboard. And that's kind of like a foreshadowing the latter part of this episode. And we go to the apartment, and Stewart tells Carter that his psycho dog tried to kill himself again. He rolled himself up in a Duraflame wrapper, and he laid next to the fireplace. And this is a recurring thing with this Carter's dog. It's supposedly a psychotic, sadistic dog that just wants to die.
Yeah. And it looks close to death too. It's a very ugly, cute dog, but
it's a pug.
Yeah, it's
they can't help it. That's how they always look.
They're fucked up. So yeah, basically so we're there, and Stewart and Carter both, even though they're men about town in their own ways, they have no plans for Christmas, Steve. So they come to an agreement together as, I guess, hetero life mates that they're gonna just, let's have a Christmas together. Let's celebrate together, but my guy, let's do this.
Yeah. And then, like, for now, it's an agreement. And then back at Mike's office, Bobo's there, and he's reading the paper, or at least he's holding it. And him and James, I believe he's talking to James, they're questioning the monkey's intelligence. And it gets to the point where Mike's like, man, and they don't even know if we're insulting them. Hey, Bobo, your mother dates red-ass baboons. How about that shit? And so Bobo tells Mike to fuck off in monkey speak.
And then Jennifer Esposito's hot ass shows up because Santa needs to take a break. So Mrs. Claus has to come in and take over. And she almost gets tackled by all the dads, Steve. There's a rush.
And her character's name is Stacy, and she looks hot as Mrs. Claus.
Or in general, just like walking around naked, whatever on my dick. And So she almost gets sexually harassed by at least a dozen dads, but that's cool. Um, and then the mayor is we cut to the mayor, and he's trying to select this. This must be an incredibly boring job. You'd think there'd be more prevalent things to do. They just have to select a Christmas card, Steve. It's time to select a card.
Yeah. It's the mayor's design or Mike's design. They can't come to an agreement. So they have the others chime in and it becomes a split decision. And then Paul comes in and he's just like, whatever the mayor's is.
Yeah.
And like Mike's like, no, man, we're just going to fucking shuffle them around. You don't know whose is whose. Now pick. And so Paul picks Mike's. And Mayor's just like, oh, fine. It's like, well, no, dude, I picked the one that I didn't like. That's
Mayor, Mr. Mayor.
A guy named Lloyd Drum walks into the office looking for Carter. He recently moved into Carter's apartment building and he has Carter's dog. He caught him sucking on the tailpipe of a minivan.
Yeah. So this dog's, I mean, very suicidal at this point. It's like Paris Hilton's dog on South Park, just trying to really end it. But he just moved into the building. He's like, I'm here. Your dog's crazy, but very nice neighbor. If I saw it, I'd be like, look at that dog sucking on that tailpipe. Bye.
Yeah.
That dog's probably gonna die sucking on that tailpipe, and then I just leave. But
I wish I had a device to make this a TikTok video.
And at some point, I think after this, they actually agree to like have like them over for dinner. But from here, we cut to a press conference, and the mayor is basically unveiling Bobo to New York. He's showing him off. This intelligent monkey is supposed to be able to play the piano.
Mary had a little lamb.
Yeah, and but unfortunately, because Mike fucking fucked this monkey's just psyche up with these insults, he's not gonna do it. And the mayor and everyone, which have instantly like figured this out, are like, hey Mike, fucking apologize to the monkey right fucking now. And he does, and then the monkey plays piano, Steve. So at this point, like, do we need to call NASA? I mean, there's something going on here. I don't think like a zoo's the proper place for this guy,
Call Charlton Heston. That's what you fucking call them. Fucker. Bobo's about to get reinforcements.
I mean, at least call fucking Grizzly Adams or somebody with a little bit of knowledge. But Bobo can play piano. But still Michael J has this smarmy attitude towards an orangutan who is capable of playing piano and getting insulted by insults, Steve. So at this point, I gotta believe, man.
Hey, some days you just feel like you wake up and you just own one. You know what? I feel like being on some bullshit. And today, on this day, Mike was like, I'm gonna be like, I see that little monkey in my office. I'm gonna be a fucking dick. Hey, monkey, I was fucking, man, fuck that apology, fuck your mama. All that shit I said was a lie to get you to play piano in front of these turds. What you think about that shit? And so the monkey, Bobo just scales the wall. He's like, I'm out.
So now you've got a monkey with a hair up his ass because you've insulted him just walking around the building. So you got to worry about that. But, that'll all work itself out. It's Michael J. He'll figure that out. So we cut to Carter's apartment, and now Carter and Stewart are discussing the day's events. They're having a wind down. And Lloyd and his friend,
his roommate, who he introduced, like he introduced Alfred while they were in the office, and Alfred, he was exhibiting the same behavior as Stewart. He was basically an older Stewart, and Stewart, he recognized that something resonated in Alfred. He's like, oh my god, like dude, you went to that fucking strip club too? Oh my god, that shit is the bang. They got the best wings and some of the best titty nipples, and just like man, like they coming out, Chris, they coming to kick it with us, Chris. Oh man, I fucks with you, Alfred, man. I can't wait to see you, dog. So fast forward, here we are, Lloyd and Alfred. They enter, or before they enter, they're greeted by Carter and Stewart, and just above the doorway is mistletoe. And Lloyd calls attention to this, and he says, "Should we?" And they do an old man smooch.
Alfred is just like what I assume, it's just like an old white guy. You know, there's nothing. He looks like an old railroad employee or something. He's not what I think when I think old gay man. You know, and I think
Yeah.
that's part of the story. That's why Stewart and him vibe. They're like, oh hey, this is me old. But then that starts getting fucking with fucking Stewart because he's like, wait, because the story is Alfred and Lloyd were roommates. And then
Yeah.
after 12 years of living together, Alfred fell in love with Lloyd, and Lloyd's like, isn't that the way? You know?
No, it was 20 years. They lived together for 20
Well,
years.
whatever it fucking was. I mean, eventually some switch flip where he's like, you know what? All the pussy I've been trying to get, there's some dick right in the other room. Maybe I'll go for that. And, you know, I don't
Yeah.
really see that happening, but I guess.
After 20, if you live with another man for 20 years, you threw pussy out the window probably before the halfway point of the 20.
Yeah, I mean, if me and Jordan lived together for 20 years, I don't think you'd find us in year 20 sucking some D. I just don't think it's going to happen. But it did
I mean,
here. And
did here.
instantly, Stewart's belt red flags. He's like, wait, am I gay? Wait, wait. So now that's going on. He's having a mental breakdown because he's like, is my hetero card, am I done? Do I need to just get a dick to put in my mouth just to figure this out? So now that's happening, Steve. And maybe they
Do I
had a
need to
nice
go to the
dinner, though.
store?
I would hope, you know.
Well, he's fearing for his future. He can't enjoy shit. And, you know, the
Alfred.
next.
Alfred.
Don't look at me like that. Hey, man, you passed the salad bowl.
No, wait. No, I don't want to toss salad. Wait.
No, don't not to toss salad.
Dick, I gotta go. Bye.
And the next day, he's like, you know what, man? I actually can't celebrate Christmas with you, man. I like my Aunt Linda called. I'm gonna carry with her. And Carter's like, man, your Aunt Linda died 2 years ago. Well, I have a Ouija board, so there's that.
And I gotta go get some pussy. Bye.
Bye.
I'm getting pussy. Hey, I like chicks. He's just
Yeah.
trying. He's got to let everyone know he's a man. He's hetero, bro. He's hetero. Don't fucking get it twisted. And while this is happening, so that's happening. Stewart might commit a hate crime for all we know. He's got some fucked up shit going on in his head.
Against himself. Yeah.
Yeah. And now Michael J. There's he's already insulted Bobo multiple times. We've clocked that. At one point, I remember, I don't know if it's exactly right before what I'm about to say happened, but we see Bobo like stalking him. Like Michael J will be like, "Where's that dumb monkey at?" And then Bobo will like appear behind a corner or some shit, you know?
Well, James tried to warn him. He said that Mike insulted Bobo and the monkey might just be plotting revenge. And Mike sarcastically says that he's shaking. And although this is the perfect setup for a Parkinson's joke, I refuse to do so because I treasure Michael J. Fox Keating. And yeah.
What will we do, babe? Yeah, I wrote a couple of shaking jokes in this, and then I was like, delete. Let's delete that off. But, you know,
That
Mike's
wouldn't make
killing
fly.
it. Nice. Oh man, Steve. Man, the puns just keep coming. So now, not only is Michael J's life in danger, he's seen miracles happen with this chimpanzee. Now he walks into his office. Bobo's sitting at the chessboard. And I don't know whether or not Bobo's manipulated the game that they already had on the chessboard, but now Michael gets locked into playing chess with a chimpanzee, Steve. I don't
Bobo
know how to
Fischer.
play chess. So I don't know how to feel about this, but yeah, so that's happening. And still, Michael J. Fox, Michael, whatever his name is in this, seems completely unenthusiastic or disinterested or not amazed by the fact that this monkey can do seemingly more than most of the employees that he has in this building.
And Bobo is owning Mike on this chessboard. And also cut back to Stewart. He's in the office now. And Stacy comments on his hand wave. She says, like, what's up with that wave? And Stewart says, like, there's nothing wrong with my wave. She says, like, unless you're saying bye to being straight. So this further fucks with Stewart and his psyche. He's fearing for his future.
There are some, assumptions to be made here that I don't really think are that wild. to be
The
honest.
gaydar detective. Dun, 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 dun.
Really, he's almost convinced himself he's gay, or at least seemingly that's what I'm led to believe.
And he tells Carter that living with him has changed him. Maybe his homophobia is covering up some hidden kind of truth. And he tells Carter, let's do this. You and me, go on a gay cruise. I want to shop with you. I want to buy us matching sarongs. I want to dance until the sun comes up. And Carter, sweet Carter, don't ever mess with me. I'm out of your league, baby.
Yeah, and now Stewart's he was like, wait a second, man. So then this sort of gets flip-flopped on him. Stewart or Carter now, I think, gets like sort of in his head about this.
Yeah.
Like he envisions his distant future with Stewart, where Stewart's sort of in this dystopian future accepted the gayness, and he's like, "Oh, my dear Carter, I love you." It's very idyllic, but he doesn't like that, Steve.
I like how Mike walks in and he says he's 88 and he still looks like how he looks currently.
He's got his Letterman jacket on and shit's like, man, what kind of Back to the Future shit is this?
And he's still single. He's like, man, I think I might find the one tonight. And Carter's dog is still alive.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. They cut to him. He's looking crazy. And so yeah, I mean, is this the idyllic future both of them want? No. And I mean, clearly Stewart doesn't want this, or Carter. Carter's like,
he pops out of his daydream and
fuck
Stewart,
Orville Redenbacher. I mean, fuck.
He pops out of that and Stewart tells him that he got them tickets to the Christmas Carol, but it's all new.
Something for both of them though, Steve.
Yeah. Wait until you see Not So Tiny Tim.
Oh, fucking Scrooge. Scrooge is just walking around D out. What's going on here? I'd go see that, honestly. It'd probably be more interesting than just the regular. I'm sick of that.
Hose of Christmas Past.
Why not?
I don't want to see my hose of Christmas Past. Bitch, I want them shoes back. 1998, that same day, December 15th, Busta Rhymes releases ELE, Extinction Level Event, The Final World Front. And I remember buying this at a mall in Grand Rapids, Michigan. The reason I was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, because one of my good friends, Rob Davison, his mom was a Beanie Baby seller. And they were having one of those Beanie Baby marathon deals at the Grand Rapids Mall. And we're sitting there and we're helping. We're sitting there at some kiosk, assisting his mom with the Beanie Baby purchases and whatnot. It's like, yeah, man, I want to get that Busta Rhymes. Go to Sam Goody. Sure enough, one of the greatest hip hop albums, another in the 90s, was in my possession.
I didn't buy this one. I think I had the one previous to this, but that's hilarious. Beanie Babies and Busta Rhymes in Grand Rapids. Who would have thought, Steve?
Who would have thought, man? And this is the one with the Janet Jackson collab. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna go?
Oh,
and the Hype Williams.
Going along with this, I'm about to go see Janet Jackson in May, Steve, with Ludacris of all people. They're doing a tour, and there's an outdoor venue pretty close to here in a place called Manassas, Virginia. And I guess they just announced this, but Kendra got us tickets, so I'm going to be blazing a fatty listening to Janet Jackson and Ludacris, who we've seen together, Steve.
Yes, sir.
So
stand up.
I'm excited. I know Ludacris puts on a good show. Now, if you put DTP on the same stage with him, maybe not as much.
Yeah, Titty Boy is better off as 2 Chainz. And man, this album, like, I'm not going to say beginning to end. There's some skippers for me, but man, it's very explosive, as the cover art suggests, man. And it also has the release, Give Me Some More. Some wild shit, give us some more. Hey, with the weave that, give us some more. I know you just need that, give us some more.
I miss those old school Busta Rhymes videos too, Steve. I feel like he was really like killing it back in the day, videos specifically. I don't know if he was the one like at the forefront of that, or if he had any say in like the visuals, but I mean, definitely. I always loved that shit.
Now on that same day in 1998, everyone's favorite raping rapper, Mystical, releases Ghetto Fabulous.
I liked Mystical as a feature and shit, and there were a couple bangers. He did that one song with Pharrell that I liked, but it's hard to really be a fan now. And I never really liked
Yeah.
him that much. It's like give me a little, you know. It's like candy. If you eat a shit ton of it, you're gonna feel sick. And if I hear a
Yeah.
lot of Mystical at once, I'm not into it. But a couple of bangers every once in a while, I'm into that. That's fine.
It wasn't a bad album. He was actually my favorite of the No Limit
Oh
group.
wow,
But
your
now
favorite.
he was my favorite. Now it's Master P,
Yeah.
as it should have been the whole time. And I'm listening to this for research purposes. I mean, because hey, we already covered the R. Kelly album. We talk about Chris Benoit matches, but we're talking about the art. And this Ghetto Fabulous album, I'm listening to it and I'm reading the tracks, and it's kind of like, man, this is a precursor to this man's life. Some of the title tracks, There He Go. And I wonder, was that what the victim said when she pointed you out in the lineup? There he go.
We should have seen it this
That's
whole
the nigga.
time.
That's another title. Is that what she said after that? That's the nigga. And then there's another track called Life Ain't Cool. Maybe is that what the, you know what? This isn't a raping joke. I'm just saying. It's just very ironic.
But then there's another
I'm on.
track called "Just Take the Pussy," Steve, and I.
There's a track called I'm on Fire. Is that what he said the next day after he raped a woman?
I mean, wow. When you just lay out, did he get prosecuted based on the track? They're like, sir, I mean, clearly here. Come
Whoa.
on.
Well, there's another track at the end called Let's Go Do It. And
And then another one called Don't Call the Cops, bitch.
Well, Let's Go Do It is followed by What's Your Alias? And maybe that was his mindset after he raped a woman. He's like, man, like, so like, don't tell her my name's Mystical. Like, oh, what's my alias?
Steve,
but yeah,
putting together all of the interesting plot points here. He's connecting every possible dot. I think you've actually figured this out, Steve. I mean, I'm assuming he's in jail or.
Oh yeah, he's back in jail. He was released.
Assume. He was like Scott Weiland for a different reason. It was like every 9 months, like, hell, he's back. He's back in jail. Like, God damn, Mystical again.
I gotta take some pussy. No, that same day in '98, DJ Clue releases The Professional.
DJ Clue.
Before we had DJ Drama, before we had DJ Khaled, DJ Clue, he made this popular where the DJ finds all of these top artists of the time, and hey, everyone adds to the pot. And this album, The Professional, it had features from DMX, Fabulous, Big Noid, Big Bun, Boot Camp Click, Cameron, Cannabis, Dragon, EPMD, Eve, Flip Mode Squad, Foxy Brown, Ja Rule, Jadakiss, Jay-Z, Jermaine Dupri, Keith Murray, Lord Tariq, Madman, Mace, Memphis Bleak, Missy Elliott, Mobb Deep, M.O.P., Nas, Nature, Nicole Ray, Nori, Puff Daddy, Raekwon, Redman, ROC, Styles P.
How much did you pay to get all these fucking people on one fucking mixtape?
The label probably did.
Man, they must have had all the fucking. They were just sold on fucking DJ Clue. What was his label called? Desert Storm? Was that it?
Desert Storm. And this was a subsidiary of Rockefeller because he was inked to the Rockefeller imprint, which is under the Def Jam umbrella, or was under the Def Jam umbrella. And most of these guys that I name were under the Def Jam umbrella. DMX, EPMD, Ja Rule, Jay-Z, of course.
Did you say MOP? Because I think weren't they on like some
MOP, Redman.
I'm only saying people that I were in either State Property or State Property 2. Because that was a Rockefeller thing. But I do remember DJ Clue and State Property sort of getting bitched out by Dame Dash's character while he's in a hot tub with 2 naked chicks. So, that was cool. But I liked DJ Clue. I remember like getting a couple of these when we were in college. Like, I got them on LimeWire basically, but we listened to a lot of this shit.
Now, any snowballs, cum balls, or Yuletide logs you bet ruin?
Well, I just, we're getting into the holiday season. Obviously, I'm very festive, Steve. And one movie I'm pretty sure now it's in the lexicon of just great Christmas movies, hopefully. I watched a little bit of Jingle All the Way, Steve, with Schwarzenegger and Sinbad.
And Sinbad. Oh man.
Turbo Man. I mean, I really feel like it's an unsung, it's great, it's fun. It's stupid, but it's funny. And Arnold Schwarzenegger punches a little midget off of a big Santa, and it's great. And I think the big Santa is actually the Big Show.
Ooh, fun
All
fact.
right.
People,
What about you?
I think people forget about the run Sinbad had in the '90s. Man, he had a nice little run.
He was doing those like movies like with Phil Hartman and shit too. He had that one
Yeah.
like where he was like a con man that just sort of acted like a dentist, I think. Forget what that was
Yeah.
called, but it was with Phil Hartman. Yeah, he was killing it, dude.
House
So fucking
guest.
funny. I'm so glad to hear he's like in good health again because I love when he was on It's Always Sunny to bring it more current. And he just continues to be a fucking funny ass dude. I always loved Sinbad and the fucking like the windbreaker technology he was using back in the 90s.
With the one earring. Oh man.
Looking,
Now,
sorry, go ahead.
well, the only thing I was going to bring up was in 1991 in Living Color is airing episode 12, and there's a skit for Bill Cosby for Cosby condoms. And watching this now, yeah, like cringe face. So it's just one of them things, man. Like this probably is not going to age well. And also there's a Wanda skit. I'm not sure if this was the intro, the premiere of Wanda, but I like how they're always titled The Ugly Woman, The Ugly Woman's Blind Date, The Ugly Woman's Baby.
Well, I mean, you gotta fucking call it like you see it, Steve.
And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our 100th show. We're at 99. Goodbye, 2 digits. Goodbye.
It's gonna get harder to make these. I gotta hit one more number when I'm making these posters, Steve. My finger is already sore, but I'm happy. I'm happy
Pinky.
to have that problem. It's a good problem to have.
Might get pinky tunnel.
But I'm really super psyched about it. Just in general, man. I love doing this. If nothing else, just to talk to a buddy every week and get to do something creative with you. But it is crazy. We've done 100 fucking episodes almost. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, man. I'm very proud, man. And it's been fun. It's been fun. And please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Tell your sister bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. Lick on these nuts and suck the dick. Please make sure to listen to Over the Culture on Sunday, Crushgasm with Kendra every Wednesday, B3F Podcast with Joey and Steve, and Don't Worry, Be Movie with Amanda and Wade. This is Steve G and Mad G with Happened in the 90s.
Good luck. You're going to need it. I'm going to be over here, like, winning.